alert, as it is here. Caitlin Clark is scheduled to appear on NBC Sunday, March 29th as a special contributor for the network's Basketball Night in America pregame show. She'll provide commentary and analysis alongside Maria Taylor and NBA Hall of Famers Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter, and T-Mac Tracy McGrady. This will be for the New York Knicks versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City.
What if I told you the biggest name on that panel wasn't even an NBA legend? It was Caitlin Clark. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. March 29th, 2026, Basketball Night in America is live, and you've got icons like Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter, and Tracy McGrady sitting there, but all eyes? Locked on Clark. And don't get it twisted, this wasn't some PR stunt, no token move, no let's just shake things up energy. Nah. NBC knew exactly what they were doing. They put a certified game changer in that seat because she's moving the culture right now. And just when you think that's wild, wait till you see how she actually handled that spotlight. Check this out.
It really is. Let's get into it. All right. So we got the Caitlin Clark takeover going down, and we also have news on Sophie Cunningham. Now, I put out to you guys that Sophie Cunningham is not going to be protected by the Indiana Fever. I believe the 5 players that will be protected will be Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hall, who's a protected free agent, Kelsey Mitchell, and Michaela Timpson. Those will be the 5 protected players that I believe the Indiana Fever are going to keep. Now, before you all get your you-know-what.
That clip right there. Yeah, that wasn't just hype. That was a statement. Because let's get one thing straight, they didn't just hand Caitlin Clark a MIC and say, have fun. Nah, they plugged her straight into a high-stakes showdown, New York Knicks going toe-to-toe with the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's primetime pressure, real hoops IQ required, no room for fluff. And that special contributor title? That ain't no participation trophy, that's a major network basically shouting, this right here? This is box office. They're betting on her to pull ratings, break plays down, and talk the game like a seasoned vet. And the crazy part? What she says next, yeah, it's gonna turn even more heads. Watch this.
Not mean the Indiana Fever don't value Sophie Cunningham. This does not mean she won't be back. Okay, let's get into it. Why the Fever are unlikely to protect Sophie Cunningham in the WNBA expansion draft. Here it says the Indiana Fever face an unforgiving situation regarding Sophie Cunningham's future. All right. And shout out to Grant Young, Robin Lundberg, who's also a part of this or whatever, Sports Illustrated. This is courtesy of them. It says it won't be hard for the Indiana Fever fans. It would be hard for the Indiana Fever fans to part ways with Sophie Cunningham. It absolutely would be devastating. We want
and that right there, that's where things start getting real messy, real fast. Because while Caitlin Clark is out here breaking down elite NBA action like a seasoned analyst, elevating her brand on the biggest stage, her own situation back home, yeah, it's looking shaky. We're talking about her head coach being miles away, locked into NCAA commentary, while the Indiana Fever are staring down an expansion draft that could seriously shake up the locker room. That's not just bad timing, that's dangerous. This is the kind of moment where franchises either lock in or fall apart. And what happens next? Oh, it only adds more fuel to the fire. Take a look at this.
Back together, we want the blonde bomber, Sophie Cunningham, back. Here it says, while the 29-year-old veteran only spent the 2025 season with the Fever and missed a solid chunk of games with an injury, she did many things to endear herself to Indiana's loyal fan base. Perhaps the 2 most important were being a spark plug and serving as star guard Caitlin Clark's enforcer, okay? We love Sophie Cunningham for stepping in during that Connecticut Sun ambush attack that was taking place on Caitlin Clark. Make no mistake about that. Here it says it earned her notoriety from the women's basketball community and admiration from Fever fans, Caitlin Clark fans. However, the harsh reality is that the WNBA is a business, and as much as everybody wants Cunningham back.
Yeah, that situation. It's even worse than it looked in that last clip. Because now you really understand the pressure building inside the Indiana Fever front office. The expansion draft rules just dropped, and trust me, they are savage. Every team gets to protect only 5 players, just 5. No wiggle room, no second chances. And for Indiana, 4 spots are already locked in stone. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull. That's your core, no debate. But that 5th spot, that's where it gets cold-blooded. That's where friendships get tested, careers hang in the balance, and front offices have to make straight-up ruthless decisions. And once you see who's actually on the chopping block, yeah, this next part is gonna hit different. Check this out.
The rules for the upcoming WNBA expansion draft for the Toronto Temple and Portland Fire were revealed March 25th. As expected, teams will be allowed to protect 5 players. The first 4 players are obvious for Indiana: Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hall, and Kelsey Mitchell. Most agree that the 5th option should be between Cunningham and Michaela Timpson, who was a rookie in 2025. However, a wrench in the expansion draft rules is that Toronto and Portland can only select one upcoming unrestricted free agent. Since there are over 100 veterans who will become free agents, this limits their options, okay? Also note is that the Fever can only give 1 core designation to a veteran this offseason and will almost certainly use that on Kelsey Mitchell. Therefore,
and yeah, this is where it gets straight up ruthless. Because now you're not talking about who's good, you're talking about who survives. The Indiana Fever front office is staring at a brutal coin flip between Sophie Cunningham and Michaela Timpson, and trust me, that's not a basketball decision, that's a business move. I know fans are already stressing about losing that energy, that enforcer mentality Cunningham brings alongside Caitlin Clark, but take a step back for a second. This isn't about loyalty, it's not about who had your back last season, it's about leverage. It's about contracts, cap flexibility, and the cold rules set up for these expansion squads coming into the league. And when you really break down how those new teams can pick players, oh yeah, the strategy behind this gets even more savage. Watch this next part.
Will be protecting somebody who essentially can't control, regardless of whether she's selected by an expansion team. That's a risk Indiana Fever's front office would be wise not to take, especially since Timpson is still under contract with the team and would surely be selected if unprotected. If Michaela Timpson's unprotected, she's going to get picked. Okay, one optimistic potential outcome is that neither expansion team selects her. They can select one unrestricted free agent after all, and Cunningham then decides to return to the Indiana Fever in free agency. But the hope likely won't ease anxiety for Indiana Fever fans come expansion draft. So, you know, there is a chance that the Indiana Fever could lose Sophie Cunningham on the open market, because if somebody jumps out the window and say, hey,
all right, now that last clip, that's where the chess match really begins. Because once you zoom in on Sophie Cunningham, you realize this isn't just a roster decision, it's a loophole play. She's 29, solid, brings that toughness, but here's the twist. She's an unrestricted free agent. And that one detail, oh, it flips the entire game for the Indiana Fever. Because under these expansion draft rules, those new franchises in Toronto and Portland can only snag ONE unrestricted free agent total. 1. That's it. So now Indiana's front office isn't just picking talent, they're gaming the system, trying to outsmart the draft itself. And when you see how that limitation actually shapes their final decision, yeah, it's low-key genius, or a complete gamble. Watch what happens next.
I don't believe the Indiana Fever can pay her that much. They might top out at $600, $650, and she's not going to take $300-some thousand less to stay with the Indiana Fever. I wouldn't advise anybody to take a $300,000 per year pay cut. But I think the Indiana Fever have an awesome shot at retaining Sophie Cunningham once she hits the open market. I don't believe either one of these teams will select her in the expansion draft and want to give her a max contract. She's just not a max player. We love her. Great role player, great hustle, great energy, can shoot the 3, but she's not a max player. So I don't see the Portland Fire or Toronto Tempo completely jumping out the window to give her that kind of contract. So I believe the Indiana Fever will have a great opportunity to retain her on the open market. Get down in the comments and let me know what you guys think. This is Keep the Vision. Make sure you...
Yeah, that last clip just laid it all out. And honestly, this is where the front office either looks like geniuses or completely fumbles the bag. Because when you break it down, this whole situation revolves around one brutal truth. Contract leverage beats emotion every single time. With Sophie Cunningham, you've got a proven shooter, a tough enforcer, someone who had Caitlin Clark's back when things got physical, but she's unrestricted. No control, no safety net. The moment another team throws a crazy bag at her, the Indiana Fever can't do anything but watch her walk. Meanwhile, a player like Michaela Timpson, Young, locked into a cheap rookie deal, upside through the roof, that's literally gold for an expansion team. Leave her exposed, and she's gone instantly. No hesitation, no debate. So now Indiana's playing a high-stakes gamble. Don't protect Sophie, bet that Toronto and Portland won't waste their single UFA pick on her, and hope she circles back in free agency at a price that doesn't wreck your cap. But if another team comes in swinging with a $650,000 plus offer, it's over. She's gone. And protecting her wouldn't have changed that outcome anyway. That's the cold reality. This isn't about disrespect, it's about survival in a tight salary cap system. And here's where it gets even crazier. While all this chess is happening behind the scenes, Clark is out there building her superstar aura on national TV, sitting with legends, breaking down elite talent like a seasoned vet. The spotlight is getting bigger, the expectations are getting heavier, and the margin for error? Practically zero. So now it comes down to you. If you're running the Fever, are you playing it safe and protecting Sophie, risking a young asset? Or are you making the savage move, leave her exposed and trust the system? And flip it, if you're Sophie, are you chasing the bag, or staying loyal to a contender? This decision right here, it's gonna define the entire season. So don't just sit back, hit that subscribe button, drop your take in the comments, and stay locked in with WNBA Vibe, because when that final roster drops, trust me, we're breaking it all down.